Hey there folks, Corey here with Android Community. Today we have a phone to take a look at. This is the just recently announced Motorola PHOTON Q 4G LTE. You can see that small writing on the bottom there, PHOTON Q. This is the brand new 4G LTE QWERTY slider on the Now network, and comes in a rather small box for having a 4.3-inch screen. Then, in the usual fashion, Motorola's provided a dock and other accessories will be available for the PHOTON Q. Convenient little dock that's got multiple angles and whatnot. We'll check that out more in the review since we've seen that dock before. So the real thing here is the phone. Since it was just recently announced, we haven't seen it out and about yet. So pull it out of the box real quick, and there is got a nice little sliding keyboard. But before we get into that too much, check the box out. Just the usual, pretty standard stuff. We have the charging accessories here, USB cord, and the paperwork and manuals as usual. So not a whole lot in the box. We're going to set that aside as well and get to the star of the show, which is the phone, and that is the Motorola PHOTON Q 4G LTE. Now the Now network is not quite like AT&T and Verizon. Their LTE is not fully available yet in very many places, but once it does arrive, this will be a 4G device. It's already ready to go, so if you got it in your area, you are set. Has that nice sliding slide out full QWERTY keyboard with 5 rows, dedicated button for the microphone to use Google Voice. It's running on Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich, and like a few of Motorola's recent phones, there's no capacitive buttons. It is all controlled on screen like the Galaxy Nexus and everything else recently from Motorola. But overall, I like the keyboard. It's got a nice soft feeling to it, and it clicks pretty good. It manages to stay pretty thin considering it's got a powerful dual-core 4G LTE and a couple other things. It's still a relatively thin device, but let's yank off this sticker so you can see the beauty. And there it is, the PHOTON Q 4G LTE. Go over the specs real quick. We have a 4.3-inch HD color boost display, being 4.3 inches while still having 1280 by 720p resolution means it's going to look really good. It's very crisp. A lot of the bigger phones have the same HD resolution, so this really is a great screen, or it should be. Got a front-facing camera as usual. The speakers, 8-megapixel camera on the rear, 1080p video, dual LED flash. Another big speaker grill down here. They look kind of weird, interesting design. Power button up top, 3.5mm headphone jack, and as you wrap around to the side, in the usual Motorola fashion, we have the micro USB and micro HDMI. That works for the dock, that works for a couple other things, the lap dock, charging, streaming video to your television, what have you. And on this side, we have the volume rocker, the dedicated camera button, use that 8-megapixel camera, and you can see that right there, there's a little port for micro SD card for expanded storage. See if I can get that back in here. It doesn't want to click in all the way, and in the usual with Motorola, as of late, the back is not removable, so that's why the slot is on the side. You can't take the back off to pull the battery or change anything like that, but under the hood is what's important. So we have a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, the Snapdragon S4 that is in the Galaxy S3 and a few other devices with the 4G LTE. We have 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs of internal storage, and then you can use the SD card slot as usual. And like we mentioned, running on Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. So overall, it is quite the device. Go ahead and turn it on real quick and get it booting. But overall, you can see, it's sleek. It's pretty lightweight. Doesn't have too much heft to it. It's got a good feeling. Let it do its thing here. A lot of people like to see that. It's got the usual Photon design a little bit. It's got a bizarre coating on the back here, but then the sides are soft and a matte finish and a rubbery finish, so it feels good in the hand, but then it's got a kind of a harder plastic right here, and it's slightly indented. It's pretty interesting if you ask us, but there it is. I just got my fingerprints all over it. The Motorola PHOTON Q 4G LTE Available here in a few days. Stay tuned for our full review. Thanks for watching, guys.